Ja, guten Tag. Wir haben gestern das Perfekt gelernt. Wir haben gestern das Perfekt gelernt. Yeah. So quickly we can look at this particular slide, which is the last slide in this presentation, and can you guys wrap up what you learnt about the perfect tense in English, and not in German. You can speak in English. You can give examples if you want in German, but take a minute to think what all you have learnt about the perfect tense and what you want to begin. Yeah.
So we have a helping verb and
A little louder.
we have a helping verb. We use sein or haben.
We have a helping verb which is sein or haben. Okay, one second. We have a helping verb which is sein or haben.
And we use the participle of the verbs that we
We use participles of the main verbs.
helping verb comes in the second position and the participle at the end of the sentence.
The helping verb comes in position 2 and the participle comes at the end.
And usually the participles are formed by adding a G at the start and
Usually the participles regelmäßige Verben, regular verbs, ge in the beginning, t at the end, and the verb root in between. Yeah. Ge arbeit et. Verben auf ihren. Yeah. So, yeah. Pass on the mic, or you can give to Vinny. Yeah. What else do you? I mean, I'm just. What else do you know about the perfect tense?
Verbs that end with er and I, like studieren, or they get the participle form is not has a suffix of t.
Has?
A suffix of t ends with studiert or
Yeah. And
there is no prefix, not g.
no prefix. Yeah. No prefix, and the ending is t. Okay. Yeah. The ending is t for all regular verbs. Now those regular verbs which end in ern, they don't have the prefix ge. What else? Ask for the mic. Anybody who wants to say something, ask for. Yeah.
for action verbs we use sein and for static things we use haben.
Not static, but let's say
Direct object.
we have the word Ortsveränderung. What is der Ort? Place. Der Ort is a place.
Place.
Ortveränderung. Anders Änderung, change. Ortsveränderung is change of place from A to B, such as fahren, gehen, kommen. Then we have sein. So action verbs, yes, but action verbs, I suppose you understand, is a kind of a tautology. Verbs are words that express actions. Okay. So what we mean by action verb, I mean, I know what you mean by action verbs, but what we say is verbs that signify movement from point A to Ortsveränderung, change of place from point A to point B, and then you have immediately the first exception, which is bleiben, which is exactly the opposite of Ortsveränderung. Actually, bleiben would be Ortsnichtveränderung. Okay, but that also takes sein, ist. One of the definite characteristics of verbs with sein as their auxiliary verb is that they're all intransitive. Intransitive? cannot take a direct object, cannot take an object. They're all intransitive verbs. Okay, so that is one definite characteristic, but that doesn't say much. In terms of speaking, in terms of writing, very normal day-to-day stuff, what we have to remember is that it is movement, sein, no movement, haben. Okay. What else do you know about the perfect tense?
There is an exception to the movement, not movement rule, which is bleiben.
That we have already underlined. Bleiben we have Ausnahme. Ausnahme is exception. Yeah, that is there. But look at geblieben, gefahren, gekommen, gegangen, gefunden. What is the striking feature of these participles? If you are saying something, just ask for the, yeah.
Irregular verbs.
Irregular verbs, and the participle is not ending in a T. The participle is ending in an EN. So irregular verbs, another one, another characteristic would be that the participle will end in EN, and most often there will be a change in vowel. So not so bleiben, geblieben, but kommen and fahren, for example, are not gekommen and gefahren. There is no change, but gehen, gegangen, and so on and so forth. Finden, gefunden. So many times there will be a change in vowel as well. But what is the one thumb rule that I have said regarding the irregular verbs? Do you remember one thumb rule? Yes, no? No? So it was obviously not stressed enough as a thumb rule. One thumb rule is that you learn those conjugations and those participles by heart. There is, in the first 25-30 verbs, to learn them by heart and to know them. This morning I had a class here from 9 to 10, German 2, and we had, I'm just telling you that we had the verb in class in a text, empfehlen. Have you heard the verb empfehlen? We have, but do you remember what it is? Empfehlen. But empfehlen means to recommend. Empfehlen is to recommend. Empfehlen is to recommend, and it is an irregular verb. And I generally said in class, yeah, empfehlen, the third person singular conjugation is empfiehlt, and the perfect tense hat empfohlen. And all of a sudden, I had a complete uncertainty attack. I did not know whether I had said correctly that it is empfiehlt or is it empfailed. Is it not, because there are verbs like gehen, for example. Gehen is not irregular in the present tense. So you could have verbs that are regular in the present tense but have an irregular past and perfect. And then I actually recited the list of verbs that we learnt in school by heart, starting with backen. Backen is to bake, Brot backen or Kuchen backen. And we had learned this list. I still know it begins with backen and it says backen, Buch, hat gebacken. Okay, that is the way it goes. Buch is the past tense. And I recited this list in class till I reached empfehlen. Empfehlen, empfiehlt, empfahl, empfohlen. That is the third person singular which I learnt in school was empfiehlt, and I still remembered that. And then my panic attack was resolved because it was empfiehlt and not empfailed. So it is irregular even in the present tense, and it is empfiehlt, and hat empfohlen is the perfect tense, hat empfohlen. But this happens. This happens. I'm sure it happens to you in English as well. When we speak English, also sometimes it happens whether we don't know what we said was correct or not correct. Okay, and then So, yeah, so the entire point about the irregular verbs is that please learn the first 25-30 verbs just by heart, just ratify them, and then you will, then something like this will happen. You will be saved of a panic attack in front of 25 students. Can you imagine? Yeah, why doesn't emphalan and hat empfohlen, why doesn't it have a GE? Actually, good question, because it looks as if we have not done this part of the perfect tense. Okay, so we'll do it right away. But apart from that, from the point of view of what does it mean to use the perfect? Okay, everybody has spoken. Whoever has spoken about the forms. Okay, what is the helping verb? What are participles? Ways to make participles. But what about the meaning part of it? What does it mean to be using the perfect tense? To be learning the perfect tense? Yeah, ask for the mic.
So in German we do not have continuous tense. So when I say that ich komme, it could mean that I have come, I came, like I come, like a habit, or that I am coming. But in German, let's say we have to say something that has happened in the past. That's when the perfect comes in, and so we say that ich
No.
bin gekommen or something.
Yeah, but basically the primary reason why we are learning the perfect tense is to be able to express things that happened in the past. Okay, and the reason we are learning perfect tense before the past tense is because usually in spoken language you use the perfect tense more than the past. The past is, of course, if you start to write a story in German, if you want to write literature in German, once upon a time there was a king. That once upon a time there was a king is not perfect tense. Es war einmal ein König. Es war einmal ein König. Once upon a time there was a king. That is war. It's the past tense, normal past tense. So, in written language, especially if you are writing a narrative of the past, like history or story, then of course you use the past tense. But in spoken language, in day-to-day language, we normally use the perfect tense much more often than the past. Okay, that is the meaning side of it. Why doesn't empfehlen have a GE? Okay. Suchen. What is suchen? It's a regular verb. Hat gesucht. Searched or has searched is hat gesucht. Okay. Any other word with suchen in it that you know? Yeah. Besuchen. To? Now you have to have such and t because suchen is regular. So such and t will be there. Now you already have the prefix be. And what kind of a prefix is be? Who's speaking? Mike.
It's used before irregular verbs.
It's used before?
For irregular words, right? Verbs.
No, what verbs? I can't get the word before verbs. What? Irregular.
Prefix, yeah.
No, what
It's
kind
a
of a prefix is be in German? Any other verbs you know with be? Beantworten. How do you use beantworten? How do you conjugate beantworten? Vinny. Or besuchen, how do you conjugate besuchen? Ich?
No. Ish.
No. Conjugate besuchen. Just
Okay.
simple conjugation table.
Besuche,
Ich besuche.
besuchst,
Du besuchst. Little
besucht,
louder.
besucht,
Besucht.
besuchen,
Wir besuchen. Yeah, so it's a regular conjugation. Besucht. Any other beantworten? How do you conjugate beantworten?
Ich beantworte the regular way. Ich beantworte, du beantwortest,
Yeah,
du.
but there so beantworten also. Antworten also is a verb. It gets a prefix beantworten, and then you say ich beantworte, du beantwortest.
But we don't use a preposition.
One second. And suchen is also a verb, and then you get besuchen, and you say ich besuche, du besuchst. So these verbs that you are forming with be, what is the other kind of prefix that we've learnt? No. What kind of? Separable. Separable and inseparable. There are two kinds of prefixes in German, separable and inseparable. BE, 100% inseparable prefix. EMP, 100% inseparable prefix. Verbs that we form using inseparable prefixes will also not have a GE in the participle. That is what is not there in the slide, but you can make a note of that. So besuchen is hat besucht, no GE. Okay. Similarly, beantworten is to answer a question, not the telephone. Maybe a telephone also actually, but anyway, to answer a question. Hat beantwortet. Hat beantwortet. Arbeiten is to work, but to process something, that is to work on something and to in that sense to process something, in German is bearbeiten. Like beantworten, you can also from arbeiten get bearbeiten. Bearbeiten is to process something, okay, to process the documents, for example. The Dokumente bearbeiten, okay, bearbeiten. That also becomes hat bearbeitet, not gebearbeitet, no GE. So, a quick list of prepositions that are inseparable. Let's start with A. A, no, an, auf, they're all aus, they're all separable. Be, C, D, A, R, A, M, P. Fair, B, M. Any other verbs that you remember beginning which has a verb in it and also a prefix in it? Verstehen, yeah. Fair we have. Erklären, erzählen, ergänzen. All these verbs we have learned. Bezahlen, to pay, bezahlen, to pay. Empfehlen, empfangen, to receive, empfangen. Der Empfang is the reception, yeah, to receive, empfangen. Verstehen, verlieren, hat verloren. Verlieren, hat verloren is to lose. L-O-S-E, to lose. You have done this exercise or no? This one you haven't done. Okay. So, can we read the sentences, and if there are any difficulties, you can solve them, we can resolve them. And then, was hast du in den Ferien gemacht? Ferien? Ferien? Wir haben im Mai und Juni Sommerferien, im Dezember Winterferien. Vacations, Ferien, okay, vacation. Was hast du in den Ferien gemacht? What did you do during the vacations? Standard question, okay. We will do that, we will do this particular exercise. Ja, was hast du gestern gemacht? Was hast du gestern gemacht? Wo ist das Mikrofon? Ja, dann können wir mit Akash anfangen. Bitte lesen Sie die Sätze. Was hast du?
Lernen.
No,
Ich
no,
habe,
read the whole thing.
Ich habe,
No, read the whole thing from the beginning.
was hast du gestern gemacht?
Ja,
Ich habe Deutsch gelernt.
ich habe
Deutsch gelernt.
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 Ja, one more. Kaufen.
Kaufen. Er hat ein interessantes Buch gekauft.
Er hat ein interessantes Buch gekauft. Ist klar? Okay. Hören.
Wir haben schöne Musik gehört.
Wir haben schöne Musik gehört. Ist klar? Okay, we'll do one each. Machen.
Hast du Aufgaben gemacht?
Hausaufgaben. Sorry, there's a S missing there. Once again.
Hast du Hausaufgaben gemacht?
Ja, hast du Hausaufgaben gemacht? Ja. Lesen.
Ich habe einen interessanten Roman gelesen.
Ich habe einen interessanten Roman gelesen. Ja.
Sir, what's a roman?
Roman. Novel.
Novel.
Actually, the novel also was called earlier a romance. In English also. One of the words for the novel was also a romance. So, the German has not yet, I mean, the Roman has been the word in German for a longer period, and it has remained that. Der Roman, die Romane, der Roman, die Romane. One second. Nowadays, der Roman, die Romane is a novel. Then poem. Das Gedicht, die Gedichte is a poem. Das Theaterstück, die Theaterstücke is a play. So, the three basic genres in literature are the lyrical, the narrative, and the dramatic. No? So, you either write poetry or you write prose, which is a novel, or you write a play, which is staged, the dramatic. Okay. Der Roman, das Gedicht, das Theaterstück. Auf Deutsch die Epik, die Lyrik und die Dramatik. Epic, Lyric und Dramatik. Yeah. All three genres fortunately are all feminine. Ja, lesen, noch einmal. Oh, okay. Ich habe einen interessanten Roman gelesen. Einen Roman, einen interessanten Roman. Das Buch, ein interessantes Buch. Okay, ein interessantes Buch. Der Roman, einen interessanten Roman. Ja, sprechen.
Sie hat mit ihren Freundinnen gesprochen.
Sie hat mit ihren Freundinnen sorry, es gibt hier Fehler, there are mistakes here. Mit means dative. Dative plural means n plus n. Okay. So ihren Freundinnen. Noch einmal.
Sie hat mit ihren Freundinnen gesprochen.
Gesprochen. Okay. Sehen.
Ich habe einen neuen Film gesehen.
Ich habe einen neuen Film gesehen. Ist okay? Einen neuen Film gesehen. Besuchen.
Gestern Abend hat er seine Freunde im Studentenheim besucht.
Sehr gut. Noch einmal. It was well read, so once again.
Gestern Abend hat er seine Freunde im Studentenheim besucht.
Ja, gestern Abend hat er seine Freunde im Studentenheim besucht. Ja, ist klar? Studentenheim. Studentenheim. Wo wohnen Sie? Wohnen Sie in einer Wohnung oder in einem Studentenheim? Ja, in welchem Studentenheim? Sharavani, in welchem Studentenheim? Ganga. Okay, so Studentenheim. Besucht. Ja, was hast du in den Ferien gemacht? Was hast du in den Ferien gemacht? Faulenzen. Faulenzen ist regular, ist regelmäßig. Faulenzen means, what is foul? We did that limerick, no? Fleißig und faul. Busy, yeah, busy in the sense hardworking and lazy, correct. So faulenzen, what kind of a verb can you get from lazy? Can you imagine from the word lazy you get an action verb? Faulenzen. What would faulenzen mean? Huh? To, no, little louder. Sharon, yeah. Please give him the mic. I think this in an IIT class this has to be said. Yeah. Mic. Faulenzen means
Putting peace.
putting peace. Yeah. I mean, I had a student here in 2005, 2006. There was a student called Evelyn Richter who had come from the University of Chemnitz or Leipzig? Chemnitz, I think. Chemnitz. And she did her MA project, MA thesis in IIT Madras on the student lingo of IIT Madras. She was studying English, her specialization was linguistics, and she did a fabulous, it is still available online somewhere. You have seen it, huh? Pranav is nodding away vigorously. Yeah. Yeah, so it is Evelyn Richter, right? Evelyn Richter's MA thesis. Yeah. No. So I was fortunate in the sense, what it's just pure coincidence that she was my mentee, in the sense that I was mentoring her through that, and I was new to IIT Madras. I mean, I didn't know what putting peace meant at that time, for example, okay, or what bulbing meant, or what cupping meant, and all that. I didn't know all these things. So it is through kind of halfway guiding this thesis that I began to find my own peace with the IIT Madras lingo. So yeah, it is somewhere there it's circulating on some WhatsApp groups or some LAN and things like that. So you can have a look at it. It's quite interesting because she's also made an inventory of words that are typical to the IIT Madras lingo and which probably nobody who's come from any other institution might be able to understand what it means. So there's also an because it's a linguistically speaking, I think it would be a sociolect, a dialect, an idiolect, a sociolect. What's a dialect? No, but the way we speak is the way we speak. But what is a dialect? A local variation of a language. For example, so Marathi has so many different dialects. Okay. Similarly, depending on a social group can have a specific language which is specific to that social group. And so the entire idea was to look at whether there is something like an IIT Madras student community, which is a social group by itself with specific characteristics such as, let me not list them, and is there a language or a lingo that is specific to this socio group, which could be classified as a sociolect. And anyway, so that was that all came. See, what are the characteristics of the IIT Madras student? I thought of all this when we saw the verb faulenzen, okay, which is putting peace in the sense of lying idly around or lazing around. To laze around is also comes from lazy, to laze around, faulenzen. Nichts machen, faulenzen. Ausschlafen, I'm trying desperate to remember your name. Next to Sarvani. Namrata. Yeah. You said something. Anyway, it's your turn. Yeah. Ausschlafen.
Yeah, to sleep completely until the tiredness is
Yeah. To sleep your tiredness out. That's why it's ausschlafen. Okay, ausschlafen. Familie und Freunde besuchen, klar. Familie und Freunde besuchen. Viel Spaß haben. Having lots of fun. Ein bisschen lernen oder gar nicht lernen. Is clear? Lernen in the sense of to study. What we say to study. Okay. Ein bisschen lernen oder gar nicht lernen. Urlaub machen. To go on a holiday. Ferien and Urlaub. There's two different. Die Ferien and der Urlaub. Okay. Die Ferien is a vacation and der Urlaub is a holiday. Not in the sense of one day holiday. Okay. That is der Feiertag. Der Feiertag is one day off. That is Feiertag. Feiern is to celebrate, no? So Feiertag is when you have some festival and you have a day off, that is a Feiertag. When you go, let's say, on a holiday to Singapore or to Mylapore, whichever it is, that is der Urlaub. Okay, der Urlaub. And when you have a stretch of holidays which are like annual vacation, that is die Ferien. Okay, so Urlaub machen, in den Ferien Urlaub machen, that is also possible, that you have vacations and during the vacations you go on a holiday to Coorg or something like that. Okay. Romane interessante Bücher lesen. Ist klar? Cricket, Fußball spielen. Ins Kino gehen. In die Heimat fahren. In die Heimat fahren, to go to the hometown, to go home. Okay, in die Heimat fahren. Yeah, so Namrata, can we start with faulenzen? How would you say, was hast du in den Ferien gemacht? I just peace. You have to, it's regular, so you have to use haben and then you have to make the participle. I have put in peace.
Ich habe gefaulenzen.
Gefaulen, regular.
Gefaulenzt.
Yeah, ich habe gefaulenzt. Habe gefaulenzt. Yeah, once again.
Ich habe gefaulenzt.
Ich habe gefaulenzt. Ausschlafen. Schlafen is geschlafen. You have a class? You have a doubt? Yeah, we'll just finish this round and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Ich habe ausgeschlafen.
Schlafen is irregular, so
Ich habe ausgeschlafen.
ich habe ausgeschlafen. Sehr gut. Ich habe ausgeschlafen. Ist klar? So I just slept it out. Okay. Ich habe ausgeschlafen. Familie und Freunde besuchen.
Ich habe Familie und Freunde besucht.
Besucht. Gut. Ich habe Familie und Freunde besucht. Pranav. Viel Spaß haben.
But ich habe viel Spaß. That's it.
Spaß.
Spaß. Oh, gemacht. No.
Haben. Gehabt.
Oh, okay, gehabt.
Ja, so.
So, ich habe viel Spaß gehabt.
Viel.
Viel Spaß gehabt.
Ja, ich habe viel Spaß gehabt. What was the doubt?
My doubt was like for fall and zen, it's like idling or putting peace, right? So we usually say I was putting peace. So it's like we should use pure past tense, right? In that case, why are we using perfect for that?
But why are you thinking in English?
But
We are learning to think in German.
no, but like when you're asking someone what you did yesterday, like I had a lot of fun is fine. Like, but I was putting peace or I was being idle. Like,
What you have said is in German you have said I have had a lot of fun. In English you would say I had a lot of fun. Simple past, what you call pure past. Okay. Please get rid of this pure business. That's a very dangerous thing in life. Okay. So yeah, the Nazis wanted a pure Germany, no? So they were going to exterminate all impurities. So the idea of purity is a very dangerous idea. Remember that. Especially learning German, we should remember that. Okay. So there is nothing like called pure past. All past is impure. There is simple past, which is had, and instead of simple past in German, we are using perfect because that is the more frequently used form in day-to-day language. Okay, if you are writing a story, if you are writing a novel, of course you will use the past tense, the simple past. Okay, but in speaking about our day-to-day these things, it is more the perfect tense. Okay, so we'll finish this round and then we'll stop. Okay. Viel Spaß gehabt. Ein bisschen lernen.
Ich habe ein
Bisschen.
business
Bisschen.
bisschen. Is it like what's the word?
What is ein bisschen? A little bit. Ein bisschen. Yeah.
Okay.
What would be the perfect tense of, what would be the participle of lernen?
Gelernt.
Gelernt, yeah. So I
Okay.
studied a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ich habe ein bisschen gelernt.
Once again, a little louder.
Ich habe ein bisschen gelernt.
Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen gelernt.
Bisschen.
Bisschen
Ah.
gelernt.
Gelernt. Ich habe ein bisschen gelernt, ja. Sriharan, Urlaub machen.
Ich habe Urlaub gemacht.
Ich habe Urlaub gemacht, sehr gut. Romane oder interessante Bücher lesen.
Ich habe eine interessante Bücher gelesen.
How many did you read?
Sorry.
How many did you read? 1, 2, 3, how many?
Bücher, so like more.
Yeah, so there's no eine. I heard ein, yeah. Ich habe
Interessante Bücher
gelesen. Gelesen, yeah. Once again, the sentence.
Ich habe interessante Bücher gelesen.
Gelesen. Ja, ich habe Cricket, Fußball spielen.
Ich habe Fußball gespielt.
Really? Ich habe Fußball gespielt.
I watch both, but I don't play both.
So how would you say watched? How do you say watched? Which is the verb you would use?
So, ich habe Fußball gesehen.
Ich habe Fußball gesehen. Ich habe Fußball. Wo? Wo? Where did you watch it?
Where, I mean,
Where?
I don't, like, where as in?
Whereas you went to a football
Oh,
stadium
no. Like, on the phone, so like.
on the phone.
I mean, I watched, like.
On TV, you
On
can say,
TV,
no?
yeah, I mean,
on TV, yeah.
yeah.
So, im Fernsehen, phrase for on TV. To see something on TV, im Fernsehen etwas sehen. Okay. So, anyway, but I watched football would be, ich habe Fußball gesehen.
Ich habe Fußball gesehen.
Yeah. Ins Kino gehen.
Oh.
Next one. Ins Kino gehen. Gegangen, but also
Ich bin. Ich bin ins Kino gegangen.
Gut, ich bin ins Kino gegangen. In die Heimat fahren.
Ich habe in die Heimat gefahren.
Fahren is irregular. So, gefahren.
Gefahren.
I heard gefahrt.
No, I said gefahren only.
So, you have to say the endings clearly, otherwise it's a mistake.
Ich
But
habe
again, gehen was movement. Fahren also is
movement. Ich bin.
ich bin. Yeah.
Ich bin in die Heimat gefahren.
Ich bin in die Heimat gefahren. Yeah. Okay. You're the only one left. Which one do you want to choose? Or some other thing you tell us, Anshul. Was haben Sie in den Ferien, was hast du in den Ferien gemacht?
Ich habe geschlafen.
Geschlaf what? The ending I have to hear.
Geschlafen.
I still can't make out what. Geschlafen.
Yeah.
Say it.
Ich habe geschlafen.
A lot. I slept a lot.
Ich habe viel geschlafen.
Not viele, but viel.
Viel geschlafen.
Ich habe viel geschlafen. Was hast du in den Ferien gemacht?
Ich habe ein bisschen gelernt.
Habe ein bisschen gelernt. You did this exercise? Na. Was hast du in den Ferien gemacht?
Ich habe
All of you are preparing what is.
Ich habe interessante Bücher gelesen.
Sehr gut. Was hast du in den Ferien gemacht?
Ich habe Biryani gegessen.
Ich habe keine gemacht.
Ah. Ich habe?
Nichts gemacht.
Ja, ich habe nichts gemacht. But you also have an action word for nichts machen, no? Ich habe?
Ich habe gefaulenzen.
Gefaulenzt.
Gefaulenzt.
Faulenzen in German is a regular activity. So it's a regular verb, it's not irregular. Okay. Yeah. We'll stop here, I think, because everybody has had a chance to speak. But with this, we are done with the perfect tense. Very quickly, there is one huge chunk of vocabulary in lesson 9, beginning with page 100, going on to page 103, which is all about, part-time jobs and looking for jobs and all that. Just make sure that you learn the vocabulary. I don't think you'll have any problem understanding the texts. But we have a class tomorrow and we will address that or read those texts and do the exercise tomorrow. Otherwise, we are done with lesson 9 and we will cut here for the end sem because we can't now begin lesson 10 and complete it within this week. That's not possible. So, up to lesson 9 for the end sem. Yeah. Why didn't we use sein for Urlaub machen? What is the verb that we're using? Machen. So, machen itself is not a verb that signifies movement. Although to go on a holiday is Urlaub machen in German. Okay, to go on a holiday. But what you say in German was we made a holiday. Okay. So there is had there been either reisen or fahren or gehen in that particular idiomatic phrase, then you would have had to use sein. But here it is literally what you're saying in German is we made a holiday. Okay. And so it is ich habe Urlaub gemacht. there is a phrase in Urlaub fahren. Then of course wir sind in Urlaub gefahren, then bin. But with machen, it is, as I said, the meaning of the verb, the way it bulbs in the German mind is different.